Most forms of addiction treatment don't work. And it's really simple why they don't work when you take a second to objectively look at it. I'm going to teach you how you can break free of any addiction, whether it's booze, drugs, sex, what have you. The lens in which I'm going to talk about this is pornography addiction because it's something that I have overcome, but it's still something that is always, the temptation is there. I don't know how long it's been since I've consumed online content. It doesn't really matter. What matters is how you go about defeating these internal, guilty, shameful things that end up corrupting our lives. Now, before I get further into it, it's worth highlighting how damaging corn is in society. There's a reason why it's free and it's easily accessible, because you are the ultimate price tag, right? It's kind of the adage of, oh, Facebook is free, social media is free, YouTube is free, because you are the product. So we have to be really cognizant that it's the same thing with corn. You are the product. What they want is you and your mind and your soul. And it really hijacks a lot of relationships. It hijacks your way of operating in the world, because your entire focus becomes about your pleasure, your sexual gratification. And that pivots into exactly what I want to talk about, which is a lot of the content out there on how to beat these addictions tend to be focused on, I'm going to call it me-centric focus, where I am focused on how I can best combat this disease, whether that's, alcoholism, an addiction to watching online videos, what have you. It's about my trauma and my past and my this and that. And that works for a limited window of time. And it requires a tremendous amount of willpower. But ultimately, I think over the test of time, it's difficult to sustain, because the why is rooted in the self. And the self is ultimately, we're weak, we're carnal, we're human, we're flawed, and that's okay. But I think what we can do is use these addictions, these things that have kind of trapped us, as a vessel to discover deeper depths about our own selves, about our own psyches, to understand, why am I addicted to watching videos? Why am I addicted to pursuing sex? Why am I addicted to alcohol? And start asking these questions as a form of getting better self-knowledge. And in that self-knowledge is an opportunity to use those learnings to serve others. And that is the secret to overcoming any addiction. I think the most happy and successful people that I see in the post-addiction world are the ones helping other addicts get out of that addictive cycle. And this is a realization that I've had, very recently, in that a lot of kind of the semen retention, no fap content you see on the internet, it's a great starting point. Guys are very proud of, hey, it's been 30 days, 90 days, it's been a year since I've gone on, some websites or whatever. But it almost becomes a masturbatory exercise where it becomes a point of pride. Whereas the time is long, but the evolution is shallow. I commend folks for giving up their addictions, but you have to fill it with something else. And the best thing to fill it is with something or someone beyond yourself. And for, me, it started with a relationship with God and being like, I'm going to offer my sexual appetite to God and let Him work through that for me. But I think even what God would want is for me to use this experience to ultimately help serve others. Say, hey, you're not alone in this, but this is an opportunity for you to learn about yourself and ultimately use that to help someone else. And then your why becomes different because it's no longer about me and my streak and my accomplishment, but it's more about how can I help you? How can I help you ultimately help others? And the more external facing it becomes, the easier it gets because you're not doing this for yourself. You're not doing this for your own vanity. You're doing it for someone else. And when you're doing something for someone else, it becomes more of an act of love. And it becomes more playful and joyful, and it becomes more experimental. And as a result, it becomes lighter. And when it becomes lighter, it gets easier because the pressure is removed, because you're doing this in service to others. So at the risk of making a video much longer than I intended, the key takeaway is do confront your vices. Actively work on conquering them. But the why you want to conquer them can be rooted in yourself initially, but it must graduate to something beyond yourself, to someone else. Make it an offering of love. It could be to your parents, to your siblings, to your children, to your spouse. It doesn't matter. Because when you do it for someone else, you find a strength you never realized you had inside yourself. And it's a win-win all around.